Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. Between Mount Vesuvius and the Gulf of Naples, the ground shakes periodically. The film that we're talking about today is called Pompei Below the Clouds, and it takes a deep dive into the world of Naples and the eruption of Mount Vesuvius going back to 79 AD and immerses us in this world of the past, present, and hopefully the future. We're joined today by the director of Pompei Below the Clouds, Gianfranco Rosi. Welcome back to Cinemophile.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good to be
Thank
here.
you. Yes, I love your approach. I mean, you took on a lot of roles in this film, not only as a director, writer, producer, and I believe I'm a cinematographer as well, which is very
Also
important.
sound. Also
And
sound.
sound, that's right. I want to talk about sound. You took on all these roles, and I'm struck by a kind of a I don't know if it's appropriate, but the layers in which you were working, the layers in which you tell this story of the city of Naples and of the area and obviously of the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, but also in the sense of the fact that this volcano created many layers
Hmm.
of history in this place. So I was struck by just sort of all of those things coming together. What was your inspiration for embarking on this project?
Well, at the end, I think, besides the way how it happened, for me, it's always by chance that I get immersed in a film. But Encounter Naples was a city that it's part of our memory always, it's like being Italian and you go there when you're a kid to visit Pompeii. Then somehow there's always this image of Naples, like the perfect postcard picture, with the blue sky, the Vesuvio, and the smile, and the pizza, and the mandolino. So somehow I wanted to show the complexity of this town, like Naples, and the film I wanted to be a reflection on, as you say before, and described it very well. It's a reflection on the suspended time, on the weight of the history of the past. Everything moves in that city toward a possible future, a possible future that comes from what it was Naples, what it is Naples, and what could become Naples, with this constant minaccia, constant menace of the volcano. So basically, what I wanted to do in the film, I didn't want to make a film about a place, but I want more to make a film that was holding a sense of an indefinite time, a time somehow, like you said, that didn't destroy, that has not destroyed, but a time that created a sense of very strong sense of the stratification, and this somehow was the idea. That's how the film was born, by this perception what you don't see, of what it is out of the screen, out of the frame, what is not there constantly. So that's what I wanted to do with the film, to
Yeah.
create a sense of what is left outside, what you don't see always. And so that's where the film somehow started, and that's where the challenge was on, try to reflect that with the people, with the reality, with the daily encounter, with what was in front of me on this journey of 3.5 years. And working
Maybe.
as a one person crew, it helped a lot, because
Yeah.
it gave me the time to merge myself. To I can spend weeks somehow to wait for the perfect light. I can spend time with the people I meet. I can create this relationship that are very strong. I can build up the trust, because without trust, there is no way you can put the camera in between you and what you're filming. But trust is not only with people, trust is also with the landscape, with the cloud, with the sea, with all these elements of the nature and how to film them, how to approach them, how to tell that story within that frame.
What I was struck by, in addition to what you just described, is the sense of time, timelessness. Time marches on, the current, where we are today. All those things come together. And for someone like me who grew up in America, the idea that we're talking about something that happened in 79 AD, at least the core of the story, centers around that event and how it's described in the film as the time between the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire. That sense of mortality and the sense of something that happened so long ago at the same time is so impactful. There's, and I thought the way that you went about portraying, giving that context is just absolutely stunningly appropriate and beautiful. You gave it a sense of history, but a sense of art in the process.
Yeah, as I said before, the idea comes from the idea that the perception of the off screen, for me. That's
Yeah,
very important because even in the perfect frame is not what you're seeing inside that frame, it's not what that frame contain that you don't see. The perfect film is a film that contain also what don't show there, but somehow
yeah,
you let the viewer perceive that there is something else outside the film. The perfect film is when you create a sense of space between a sense of silence between the narration, where in that silence the viewer can immerse himself or herself and find that the dialogue with the narration, no, that invisible border between the past and the present, and that's why somehow the film it start with something very real, which is a train that goes there every day
mm,
and takes people in this journey, from work, from things, or whatever it is. But I wanted somehow the first frame of the film is like this wagon of the Circumvesuviana. But for me, that was not just a train; it was like a time machine,
yeah,
a
yeah.
time machine that brings us through space and history. It's like a long cinematic tracking shot somehow that take us from storytelling to history, from the past to the present to the possible future. And that's for me, it's the metaphor of the film. It's just a train that goes around the volcano and take us into to this journey till the end of the film. So for me, I saw that again, and not because cinema it is metaphor. Without metaphor, we have no cinema. So for me, the idea of this train was the idea of a time machine, and that carry us through, as you were saying, in this element of what it was, what it is, and what could be, constantly this suspended time, this resistance of history, this weight of the past, this sense of undefined time, this sense of stratification of time. And for me, that's probably the only movement that there is in the film, because everything I shoot is always with a fixed camera and with one frame, and that's somehow. But just because I knew that there was this other element in the film that was like an endless tracking shot, the perfect, the dream of every cinematographer to have an endless tracking shot, that takes you from the
Mm,
present to the past and vice
yeah.
versa. Memory, it's a very important past. Giorgio, the photographer, Maria, under the things, that embodies the need for documentation as a form of memory, constantly. But also the prosecutor, the prosecutor represents somehow justice as a response to questioning that the past keep bringing back, keeps bringing back the memory. Abud, the Syrian, speaks, interact with, he brings us war and brings us as an off-screen image, it brings the memory of war, the fire department, it brings us to an element of human comedy, which is so much part of Naples. Um, And so that's how the film somehow it builds, but it builds with time, and that's what is very important. The cinema, having the idea of the need, more than idea, to put all the archival footage into this cinema, again, has something to do with the memory. I've always felt that in this destroyed cinema, I wanted this archival footage to feel like a form of collective memory, almost as the past could come alive again with memory, despite that before used to be shared by people, and now there's nothing left by almost like feeling like an archaeological site, echoing the stories of the past through the memory of this unexistent screen, and that's again
Hmm.
a part of memory. So memory, it's a very strong part of the film. Even the devotion, the scene of the people crawling in the Madonna dell'Arco again bring us embody the archaic mystery of religion, faith that feels almost pagan. So again, the past that comes into the present. The grain that's bring with the Syrian boat, and is the same boat, the same port that somehow was during the when Pompei was alive, and people they were bringing grain from the south of Italy into that, like the archaeological, the Japanese archaeological, they're part again of memory, they're like the detective of time somehow. So all these figures somehow they have, in a way, they are an act of resistance with the sense of memory of the past, and probably also against fear of the present.
I just want to quickly remind our listeners that we're speaking with Gianfranco Rosi, and he's the director of this terrific documentary film, amazing film, Pompeii Below the Clouds. And to your point, bringing these elements in, I was particularly struck by the lingering on a few of the things that I think are very important to your point about timelessness and the future and in this place that Naples has in Italian history. And the people who are working on the grain ship, the Ukrainian grain ship that you mentioned, and to see just a snippet of their life as they live it, working and doing what they do, and the sheer danger it looked to me like working on that ship, and then also,
Well,
I mean,
people are
yeah,
killed still now. There was a ship
yeah,
that was bombed by Russian in Odessa. So
yeah,
every month, almost, there are people dying, and people dying on this incredible. These are like the modern slave.
yeah,
They do an incredible life under this boat, bringing the grain, going through the war places, being bombed and things, and they're bringing food to us. They're bringing food still. And that was an incredible encounter that I had there. I didn't have much time with Abud, the main.
mhm,
So he's only 21 years old, and when I met him in this ship, he had such a strong urge to tell the story, and we became like almost we knew each other forever. And I
mm,
only had like few days to spend with him and be able to portrait him with this intimacy, with this. So it was an incredible encounter that because he brings such a personal element, and yet something which is so archaic, something that is
yeah,
so huge, and something that is so political, and something that is
yeah.
so horrible part of our days, and we completely forget. We eat pizza with some bread, and we don't know where it's coming from. And where it's coming from is that these young kids risking their life on a daily basis, being paid very little money. And again, as I say, they're like the modern slave, unfortunately.
There's a segment of the film on retrieving um, artifacts from the site of the eruption, and also a bit on how people have been, it sounds like for many, many years, essentially taking things from stealing. I don't know what the exact right word to use.
Palm robbers, yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So that I didn't, it's completely, I mean, it's understandable in the context of the story, something I hadn't thought about. Is this still an active, ongoing site
Oh,
for
oh yeah, yeah.
excavation?
So this has been something that goes on since the Bourbon times, you know.
Okay.
I mean, if you see the museum around the world, they're full of fragments from
Yeah.
Pompeii and from Ercolano, from that area. And but there, everywhere you excavate, under in your garden, everywhere you start finding pieces of the past. You know, there is this incredible connection. That the problem is like now there are people that are organized in such a way with the criminality and with things that they not only dig the garden of their house, but they dig galleries in order to enter in the site of Pompeii and things and stealing things. You know, one fragment of that is worth millions of dollars in the black market. But if you think about all the big museum, you know, they've been collecting all this material from ages, you know, of the past. And I mean, now probably there is some kind of attention and there's some kind of thing. But imagine what happened in the 20s, in the 30s.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
was like just it was a free market for everybody. But still, it's going on, and that's why the prosecutor is such an important figure. Again, you know, he represents justice as a response to the question that the past is bringing back, and his mission is like to you know to break these things
Yeah.
of stealing under the earth when he say now finally where the villa we find it and now we have to find the responsible of all this stealing here and we have to give back to the community, you know, this incredible jewel that we have. When he arrives there and he finds that everything has been taken away, you know, and that's it's a real moment. I live with him, you
Yeah.
know. And again, it was part of building up a very strong relationship with him. He was one of the first person I met in the film in a press conference in Pompeii because they did recoup some kind of very important pieces, and he was part of this. Looking for the guilt, you know, looking for the responsible of that. So they did find that. So I met him in this press conference,
Yeah.
and I kind of it's so difficult to become intimate with him. He has so much work, he has so much things that he's doing, and so it took me 3 years to build a relationship with him, become very close friend, and only at the end of these 3 years I was able to know what I wanted to film with him, and he was comfortable enough to allowed me to be so close to him, you know, and to be able to. I shot probably 3 4 days with him, very little, but it was important to build a relationship
Yeah.
before I took out the camera and was able to film him in his own daily reality. Mm. So
Yeah.
again, it's about building a trust, building a
Yeah.
relationship, finding the right moment when you can have access to such an intimate way of daily people life, you know, in such an intimate way.
Yeah, there's that one room with all those artifacts, and that was amazing. But and also you mentioned earlier the response, the emergency response teams that provides this everyday aspect to the story that's being told, the brutality as well as the comedy, if you will,
You
that
know,
takes
the fire
place.
department, right? You're
Yeah,
talking. Yeah.
yeah,
All those
oh,
stories, the fire department, the prosecutor, the archaeologist, Titi, the teacher, Maria, under the thing, they're all kind of part of an institution, you know. An
mm,
institution are the meaning throughout which the civilization preserve and pass its own memory again, you know, the memory that is there, keeping
yeah,
alive the knowledge, you know, and the meaning of the knowledge. So all these people, they are somehow part of an institution. And Pasolini used to say that a civilization starts when each of the individuals is able to do something for the others. And at the end of the film, I realized that all the people that are part of this film, they're giving something to the others. And that's something very strong and very unique, I think. And that's what was the people that I was able to encounter in this 3.5 years of, where I immersed myself into this journey.
it's a beautiful. Just in the last minute I have with you, I just want to compliment you because this film rewards you with multiple viewings. There are things in it you won't see the first time, and when you watch it again, you'll see it, and it provides you an even greater context to what the story is here. And
Many people told me that this is a film you have to watch a couple of times, and then because maybe the first time you see the film, you feel a bit of anxiety. You say, "Where is taking me this?" Well, because there's so much work that the audience has to do constantly in this film. There's so many situations, and I leave the viewer to discover their own connection inside. So the
yeah,
viewer have to be very active, watching this film. So maybe when you see it for the first time, you start asking this question, where is it going? Where is this going with us? So the viewer somehow participate directly on the structure of the film. And for me, it's important, that when I make a film, I don't want to give any answer. I don't want to give how you say, like something that is the film is about this and
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
want to reveal the complexity of stories, the complexity of our world, the complexity of our time. And this is possible to do it only when you don't become ideological, but when you leave to the audience the possibility of interacting with that and giving themselves, finding their own dialogue with what they're watching. So maybe the first time it requires a bit effort, and then the second time when you watch the film, you know that somehow all the puzzle are there, and you can maybe enjoy in a more relaxed way this 2 hours immersion into that reality.
yeah. And I would say you should keep hiring that cinematographer that you used in this film. Okay.
Which is good.
He's pretty good.
Sometimes I hate him, but
Well, I thought he did a
yeah,
great.
but
It was wonderful.
you're joking about that. But maybe it's the fact that I'm filming everything myself is like
Yeah.
I cannot fire the guy. I cannot hire him and I cannot fire him. He's there.
And he was sitting on your shoulder the whole time. He was just
And I
telling.
cannot get upset with him. It's like, fuck, you fuck it up, you fucking stupid, you fuck it up.
Well, thank you again for
Well, thank you
coming.
to you.
Yeah,
Thanks
coming
a
back
lot.
to the program. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Again, the
man.
film. No, you're very welcome. The film is called Pompeii Below the Clouds, and we've been speaking with Gianfranco Rosi. Thank you so much. Continue your success as a filmmaker, and
And please go to see the movie in theater. Now we have this opportunity. The film is
look.
on a big screen, so
Yeah, it's opening here in Los Angeles at the Laemmle Royal, one of the great theaters in Los Angeles, on March 13th. And it won a number of awards at the Venice Film Festival, the New York Film Festival, and the British Film Festival International in London, and all kinds of awards for your work here. And my very, very best to you moving forward. And I look forward to hopefully another conversation sometime down the line. So
maybe
thank
in 2, 3 years,
you.
four
Okay.
years. That's what it
Okay.
takes, to make a film. 3, 4 years. Ciao, ciao.
Thank You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.